kind of like I think people like Michael Jordan. I'm kind of a unique kind of character.
And I have
You just see how games and possessions are more intense, how they mean more.
I'm not putting him on.
I think the U.S. is going to obviously win.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Nothing But Respect. My name is Jane Remover. I am joined by Meat Computer. I'm joined by the 99 Gex, Patrick Redford.
My name is Jane Preserver. Thanks for having me.
No, I am Harry Krinsky. I'm joined by Patrick Redford. He is a staff writer at Defector. I am a man about town.
You're wearing a hat with the word basketball on it.
Mm-hmm. From the good people at Cookies Hoops. Thank you. Maybe one day they'll come on Nothing But Respect. But for now, we got a few things. We got a lot of basketball stuff to talk about. But I think we got to start with some domestic affairs. I'm of course talking about domestic beers. So first, I just turned 30. And I wanted to ask, I turned 30 like last week. In fact, today is the maybe 14-year anniversary of my 13th bar mitzvah. My bar mitzvah, which happened when I was
How many
13.
bar mitzvahs? Okay.
Yeah, in Reform Judaism, you have a bar mitzvah every year.
Dude, yeah, I mean, January 6th, obviously a lot of big anniversaries, all Harry-centric, all of them. So you're 30. We sort of have a firmly young millennial versus like firmly zillennial bridge spanner, which I believe. Are you on the?
I think that's fair. I'm not. I've got a big. If you remember 9/11, you're a millennial, and I do remember 9/11, so I consider myself a millennial, but I am at the exact line. 94, 95.
I was in fourth grade. We don't even do the 9/11 chat now. But my point is, I was out at a reasonably sceney bar in the Mission in San Francisco on Saturday, not bar part-time. And I was waiting in line for the bathroom as these four girls were doing coke for like 20 minutes. Like it's, And this guy, I was.
They're doing that. The city's back, maybe.
I know SF is so. It was popping off. It was great. And there was this guy in a horrifically tiny beanie who was there for his friend's surprise 30th birthday party. Nice. And I was like, "Oh, I'm 32. Do you want any advice?" Which is like my number one tip is just say that. Just
in general,
do reverse soliciting advice in any context with any identity you have, and just be like, "Hey, as like a freckled person, let me tell you about sunscreen." So he was like, "Yeah, give me some advice." And my advice for you is the same as the advice I gave him, which is just stretch. Start stretching now. Get flexible. The aging process comes for us all, and if you just like learn to open those hips up, dude, hit the half pigeons real deep, like your life will immeasurably improve in every single way.
I don't want to hear that. I think that's the right advice, obviously, but I don't want to hear that because I am feeling at the peak of my powers athletically. Like we're gonna get to Jimmy Butler later, who's 35 and maybe believes he deserves a max contract. I think if I were in the NBA right now, I would be saying like I'm me. Like give me a max.
This is as good as it gets.
This is as good as it gets. Exactly. So the idea that kind of like needing to like, I will sometimes go on runs with my dad, and before we will get to a hill, he will stop and do calf stretches.
Respect.
I don't want to get like that.
Dude, the coolest type of in shape old guy you can be is the guy who just goes to the gym and stretches for like 55 minutes and then hits the rowing machine for like 5 to get the heart rate up, maybe in the opposite order, but like that's it. Like at a certain point, I think flexibility is kind of like the only way to preserve. I say this as a 75-year-old myself. You understand.
That's guy yoga is watching like inside the NBA while the TV's muted at blink while you stretch for 40 minutes and then jog for 5 minutes.
Yeah, this beanied fellow I ran into, and I did this bit, and then we're like, respectful silence of waiting in the bathroom line. And like, they're just doing coke forever. So we both started doing calf stretches. And I realized like, there is no dignified way to stretch in public, especially if you're not wearing athletic gear. And I was in head to toe Boston Celtics uniform. So it was like mostly okay. But like in most other contexts, that's a little unacceptable.
I do one thing that I did in my 29th year, and I will certainly do in my 30th year, is on my way to only in the warm months, on my way to my kind of rec league, beer league, Sunday soccer league, I stretch on the subway because I like get prepared, and I'm like doing like leg swings on the subway, and I just have sort of been like, this is part of my routine because I need to, you really don't get too much time to warm up for these games. So I need to do it on the subway. And yeah, you get some serious looks when you start doing, leg swings and on the F.
Yeah, there's like I feel like any stretch that's like relatively contained within like the standing motion, like the Achilles stretch is like sort of acceptable. Mm-hmm. But yeah, once you start getting dynamic with it or really like breathing into it, that's when you earn respect from your fellow patrons because they see, like, oh, this guy's
about it. Yeah.
Fuck in. Yeah.
This guy's, you gotta put the right oil in the Ferrari.
This plus the Jimmy Butler thing does sort of like, surely you've had this experience where you're watching basketball or whatever and you're like, oh, this guy's 31. He's on death's door. Like, this man needs to be like put into a grave right now. His body does not function. Like, Harrison Barnes is basically dead. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, oh, 31. This is so great. I have so much energy.
It's like my version of that is Festus Ezeli, who is my age, right? But
really?
I think, dude, if not younger than me.
His ass is on the broadcast.
I know, yeah, dude. That was legit. For those,
he's 35.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, he's within the ball. He remembers 9/11.
He definitely remembers. Well, yeah, I think he probably, yeah.
After hitting this stretch conversation, you know what I did? I skipped out on my tab, and a little tribute to Jared.
Yes. So this has been a story that Nothing But Respect beat has been following, honestly, since its inception. And so we were going to talk about it last week, but didn't have the time. But now it's actually perfect because it's sort of come to a conclusion, which is that over the last probably years, but it's only recently come to a head, there has been the San Francisco or broader Bay Area community has been hit with a serial tab skipper named Jared. And it is one of those, like, it is, by the looks of it, serial is, I really mean serial. Like, it seems like everywhere. He has skipped out on like hundreds and hundreds of tabs. This began to bubble up last week, but then he was actually apprehended 3 days ago. So Jared's reign of terror or his kind of like joyous victory lap is behind him. What do you think about all that?
So they say.
Right.
One, I like that if you look at the map, which I think the author of the interactive map on Reddit has deleted their work.
I saw that. Yeah, you can only find it in like a thumbnail version now.
Yeah, which I've saved obviously because this is like an important document. But the first thing that stood out to me is like, this guy has good taste. Like Dogpatch Saloon, that place rules. Like Doc's Clock, Pops, Latin American Club, Fly Bar. Like, dude, respect to this. That was the first thing that stood out. The other one is that like, man, he is everywhere. Like, this is like hundreds of bars in the city, and it's so funny that like, he's, in all these places like on Deviz and the Castro and the Mission, and he gets popped at the Red Lobster in San Mateo.
Unbelievable that's what he skipped out. I mean, it sounds like he got too big for his britches. It's like so in reading these articles, there's a good article in the SF Standard that kind of chronicles a lot of this. Right? It said the SF Standard.
Yeah, Standard.
Yeah. That his main move was, and hey, take notes if you ever want to do this. I wouldn't suggest it, but is he goes in, he says he's in the industry, orders a beer and a shot, and then is like, oh yeah, let me go get the money from the ATM, and bounces. That's skipping out on $12. But if you do $12 10,000 times, he got nabbed. He got, again, like kind of an Icaran arc here, or an Icarus arc. He got nabbed on like $130 Red Lobster bill.
He went to, see, this is the thing. It's like, I think this sort of explains, or can be explained by the different ways people talk about and perceive crime. Whereas like people in the suburbs think of San Francisco as this totally lawless place, but really like they live in these like really over policed and over manicured.
Right.
Like this is like suburban car dealership mentality basically applied to like fast casual dining, where it's like the Red Lobster in San Mateo is going to be way quicker on the trigger to call the cops than like fly bar on Diviz or something.
Right.
Like,
Even though you would think that there's probably more people potentially skipping a tab at some like CD dive bar in SF.
exactly. Yeah. Also, I realized that the place we started on Saturday, I did this. I ordered a shot and a beer, and then I was like, "Oh, you guys cash some more. I'll go to the." I did not consume it, thankfully, but it would have been a very like sort of avant-garde tab skipping if I would have like made them pour it and then left. Just sort of a silent protest in favor of Jared and his methods.
Like you just leave a kind of just sign the tab as Jared. You even like pay for it or something. Yeah, he. It's interesting. I mean, I think you got to add him to the list of Bay Area folk heroes. Like it's Max Wade, Jared, and then that guy who was going like 250 miles an hour on the 5, and like cops couldn't catch him. You ever hear about this guy?
Oh yeah, I remember that guy.
He was like outrunning police.
2 other things we saw in the mission. We saw this happen. We saw this person just gripping down mission without lights on, running red lights, and we saw like 4 cops follow. And then we were walking down towards 24th, and then 5 minutes later we saw this same exact thing. So some Looney Tunes ass driver was leading like all these highway patrol and cops in this circle. The other thing I saw, and this is a little fucked up, 2 bouncers wearing Celtics gear in San Francisco. One was like a big, like oversized Mexican blanket poncho style thing, and it felt bad.
That is weird. I mean, that I guess I can only think that that's the growing influence of the. I mean, you know, you're seeing MAGA hats in New York City. You're seeing Celtics jerseys, bouncers. Like this is the slow march toward kind of fascism.
Yeah, and with the NBA All-Star game coming to San Francisco in a month, like one wonders what that's going to look like. I'm going to have to get out there and do some scene reporting for sure.
Yeah, that would be fun. I mean, dude, I'm sure there's going to be like the funniest activation. Like,
oh yeah,
like, hey, we're going to the Notion Suite right outside of Chase Center. We're going to the Notion Suite, or like, oh, I don't even know.
Which all-star-ish caliber player would be the one to rent out bar part-time for a private all-star party?
That's a good question. Who's with it? I mean, I could see a kind of like a bit of a game of telephone and kind of lost in translation is really more what I mean, leading to Draymond doing it, where he's like, I love wine. We're getting, me and Braun are going to let the fucking chilled red flow and whatever, but then you just end up at bar part-time with like an Apple designer, UX designer. Yeah, that's the only person I could think. I mean, maybe Pat Spencer.
Respect.
Yeah.
Did you see the Spencer Brothers thing from Warriors Grizzlies the other day?
No.
Well, the Grizzlies have a Spencer as well.
Okay.
And
is he a white guy as well?
Well, okay, yeah, he's a white presenting.
Okay.
He also has a funky ass number. I noticed this in Kings Warriors, which we don't need to talk about too extensively. I think Pat Spencer's like 61 or something, and then the other one's like 28 or some shit. So respect to the Spencer boys.
Yeah. I'm at the state of the Warriors season where I'm sending texts like, Pat Spencer's kind of giving us good minutes.
Oh no! I
like how he seems composed out there. But all right, let's talk basketball. What's been going on? You had an interesting take about the season. Give it to me.
So Friday night was like one of the best probably the best NBA regular season night of the season. It started out with Thunder Knicks, which was like this incredible game. It was not on, I don't think it was on national TV, so I had to watch through the just horrible Thunder broadcast. They're so bad. But this was
specifically bad. Like that's one of those things
bad.
I will
They're
say
like homers. Yeah.
Well, like you as a proper member of the media, this is something and this is kind of a good red herring if you ever want to know who knows ball. The people who have legit opinions on local broadcasts know ball. Like that's a good, because for me it's like I watch the Warriors broadcast and then I kind of know that the Hornets guy yells a lot and that's it. But you're like, yeah, the Thunder guys stink.
Well, and I remember them not being this bad a few years ago. So maybe I haven't been knowing ball at a fine enough level. But basically, the like heuristic to apply here is if they are insane homers, they are not going. They're doing fan service basically. They're not calling the game like with a super like critical eye or anything.
Right.
And it's funny you bring up the Warriors because there was that play where Draymond just totally destroyed Keon Ellis on like this obvious illegal screen, and then Draymond and Steve Kerr start screaming about flopping, and then Fitz and Kalena on the broadcast start screaming about flopping, and it was just like I had to watch on Stream East because I'm blacked out, so I was forced to watch these guys, unfortunately.
Hell yeah!
But back to the subject. Knicks Thunder. It's like I love when you get these sort of like possible finals previews. Like last year, both Celtics Nuggets games were incredible, and the Nuggets won both, and that was at the point in the season where, you know, the Nuggets were defending their title and the Celtics were totally running away. And so you go in thinking, okay, this could be a possible finals preview. And both teams treat it like a game that really matters.
Right.
And so Knicks Thunder was the same way. And the way the Thunder won that, and then they won the Celtics game on Sunday in the same exact way, was like really interesting because Tibbs did this thing where all the starters played more than 40 minutes. The Knicks have like a commanding double-digit lead. And then by the fourth quarter, they're dead on their feet, and the Thunder win that frame 37-19. It's like Shea going crazy, the defense just swarming. You can't pass the basketball. And so that was just like such a fun game because both teams like really went all out for it. But then like on the same night, you have Wemby and Jokic having this like incredible duel. Spurs win. You have Cavs winning, I don't know, 15 or 19 straight or some shit over the Mavs. Grizzlies,
which is
Kings.
another not finals matchup, but that's like two titans of the respective conferences.
We haven't talked about the Cavs like at all.
Yeah.
And my editors keep kind of prodding me because I keep writing about like the Magic, and you know, I'm like, hey, someone should do a Cade Cunningham story, and they're like, the Cavs are 30-4. Like, what is your problem? And I like having watched them. It's like Mobley is going crazy, man. He looks so good out there on both sides, and like I've always been a big Darius Garland guy. And Cavs Thunder is this Wednesday. Like that's going to be a really fun game. But basically, the larger order take here is that like Friday shows why the NBA is good. Like if we're doing the NFL comparison, the best NFL thing would be like Lions Vikings last night, where you have two really good teams who are rivals and they're like playing for very clear stakes, but it's like sort of a discrete event. And like Friday in the NBA is so great because there's all these good games happening at the same time. And so like if the operative logic of the NBA is like parity and that there are a lot of teams and a lot of great players, it sort of dictates that it's impossible to have one game matter so much when really like the totality of basketball is the thing that makes it special. And so it's like being on League Pass and like flipping between like having a game on the phone and a game on the computer and just like all this stuff is happening like all at once. Like that is so fun. And I think like the structure of the NBA sort of explains why that is good. And also why like, I think basically the thing that 72 and 65 game proponents don't say, but like is sort of implicit in their argument for shortening the season is that like when the games matter in like the Thunder Knicks sense, you can compound like the quantity and quality in this really great way, and that like every night would feel like some version of that.
Yeah, it is interesting because I'm usually just accept that it's got to be shorter. Of course, it would be better if it was shorter seasons, more games, because games would matter more, and surely they would matter more. But it does beg an interesting question of like, okay, yes, the games matter more. Yes, maybe they're going to like 2% more all out than they already are because they can do that. Is the second quarter of a like Rockets Bulls game more interesting under a 65 game schedule versus an 82 game schedule? I'm now kind of swinging back toward like probably not. It's still the doldrums of the game. It's still like you're going to like certain parts of it, but not a lot of the stars are going to be in the game. The basketball's going to be slightly lower, whatever. They're not running as interesting sets. The points aren't as essential for the game. So I do think there is something to what you're saying that's never going away, that there's just like an ebb and flow and a certain not every individual point matters, and that the beauty of what you get, this like maximalist 82 game situation, is that you really get more basketball than you could possibly know what to do with.
Yeah. And like that sort of, I think the ratings stuff is like pretty directly related to this, if in sort of like a strange way, is that like the individual showcase games do matter, but like the thing that makes it good is that it's sort of is also the thing that makes it kind of, you have to be actively following it. Like the Friday, it's like a Friday night with like, I don't know if any of these games were even on national TV. So like you have to be kind of locked in at like, you have to be like actively engaged with it. It doesn't really reward kind of like the passive, just like, oh, you know, the 1 p.m. game is on at the bar and the Niners are playing the Bills, and I'll just kind of like passively take that in. Like you have to like,
yeah,
you have to seek out, especially like the best game was Nuggets Spurs, and like that's happening, you know, after 9:30 p.m. on the East Coast. Like you have to be kind of a sicko to really like lock in with it in real time. But I would think, you know, most people who follow the NBA on Instagram woke up the next morning and they're like, oh, Wemby's going crazy.
Right. What do you think about I heard Wosny Lamre put forth a interesting argument that he was basically like League Pass, we should get rid of League Pass, or it should be prohibitively expensive. Like he was like, the idea that all these games are available and that you get access to more than your just local TV market, or maybe like the local and then the national game is actually working against the league, because I guess the argument being like it puts you in this state where you're like half watching 7 games instead of really watching 1 game. What do you think about that?
I don't really buy that, because that only makes sense if you assume that like TV ratings are the only like meaningful indicator of league health, because if you did that, you would get fewer people watching, fewer people paying attention, fewer people crucially like posting about the games and stuff and then you juice your local ratings by 15%. And that's sort of like this effort to like footballify the NBA, which like we don't need to do the whole ratings thing. But as we sort of have talked about in previous episodes, like the heft of the TV deal and the fact that it increased by that much while moving more and more towards streaming shows that like
it's just doing fine.
Yeah. As a measuring stick, ratings is always sort of an imprecise, and like also it sort of makes sense to not try to fight the NFL, like to just kind of do your own thing and have it be your own way. So like I see the logic of the argument, but I think it kind of misses like what matters about this.
Right. Or like what? Because it is, you know, the reason the money matter. I mean, the reason the ratings matter, forget just like number go up or whatever, is because the health of the league is determined on the ability to like monetize and sell ads on it, basically. And like if you can sell ads on fragments of stuff like a Ja Morant Instagram clip or whatever, like if the money's going in, and you know that's all you can expect. It's not like TV ads are the best fucking ads in the world. Most people could barely remember any TV ads.
Yeah, and I also wonder, like, I feel like that posits that people are just there's this huge mass of people that are scrolling around passively on League Pass and only catching little clips, and that also like nationwide knowledge of the NBA should only be distributed through these like very big funnels. Like if you live in San Francisco, you should only be able to see the Celtics when they're on national, which is okay. In that specific case, in
that specific case, that should be true. Yes.
Yeah, you should only be able to see them on a show trial on C-SPAN.
Yeah. Okay. On so national TV on C-SPAN when Wick Grossback is going to jail.
Yeah. January 6, 2029, when the first Redford administration takes power, then you will. All I'll say is that you will see Celtics figures on national TV.
I'm gonna show up in the TD Garden with a fucking like meme bear mask or whatever.
But I guess like I the thing about that, I think that's an interesting take. Like, and I'm not like calling him a dumbass or anything.
I agree with you that I don't think I agree, but I think it's a good, interesting thought experiment.
Yeah, and like the idea that more basketball is bad and that it has to be like contained, I find to be like the core of it. And like I don't know if I agree, and I think having passive knowledge is better than no knowledge at all, I guess, is like the core of my take here.
The thing that's most compelling to me about that idea is this notion of I really do love like the regionalism components of the NBA. Like we were jokingly texting about Kings Warriors and how it feels like this old Kings Warriors matchup. Like I when I close my eyes and think about my childhood, I think of the Warriors playing the Kings because they were bad, so it was kind of like cheaper tickets, so it was easier to get to a game or whatever.
Yeah.
But B, because they played them 4 times a year, and you there wasn't as, or I didn't have League Pass when I was a child, and so like I have strong associations with these more regional sub rivalries, and like I remember being like, oh fuck, dude, like Kevin Martin's gonna kill us tonight, you know, like he's so good.
Damn, we're not gonna get up to 12th place. This is like the Kings have got that solidly in the bag. Beno Udrih is like going nuts. Oh man.
And just that this is, maybe I'm just projecting my style of fandom across other people's, but the most textured, the most compelling part about the way I relate to basketball is through regional, local fandom, and the idea of being like, you have your team that's actually dictated by your TV market, and like that's why you're a fan of that team.
Yeah.
Like I do get a little boomery when I talk to somebody. I'm like, who's your favorite team? And they're like, wherever LeBron is or whatever. I'm like, dude, like, where did you go to high school? What's the fucking nearest team? That's your team.
Yeah, you're a Hornets fan, man.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think that's a really interesting point, and that makes me think that maybe like there is something to the Wosny take, only in the sense that like the way that you just talked about like how you experience basketball fandom is how like most fans sort of do. Like the omnipresent League Pass watcher, like local broadcast opinion haver figure like me or any of my other like media elites is like not really aligned with how normal people follow the NBA. So if you're like making an argument to a Pistons fan, you would just casually bring up like, oh, you know, the San Antonio development track, and like, here's how the Suns have been playing. And they'd be like, what are you talking about, man? Like games on TV, like Oscar Thompson is goated.
Yeah.
And like, maybe it's just this disconnect between like how the league is consumed by those who write about it and like podcast about it versus like those who just like watch the basketball.
Well, the last kind of pulling this meta thread is, it is complicated though, because more and more fans are pretending to be pundits, like, you know, on Twitter and elsewhere, like, and there is this sort of there's sort of this arms race of ball knowledge that people have that can be in part fun, and just like sort of a fun example of like a way to connect with your friends about like, oh, I saw this Shams tweet before you or whatever. But I do think it has the potential to like jump the shark, where like you're consuming some completely unimportant fragment of a Hornets game, you know, almost because
to have the correct JT Thor opinion or something. Like
exactly.
I think you made this point on one of the earliest episodes that I thought was so true. And now I'm contrasting that to like, I actually think the coolest form of basketball knowledge is like the Caitlin Cooper, like Indiana. Like I've watched every single Tyrese Halliburton left-handed drive off of a pick and roll, and like, here's like the 7 moves he has. Like, I think you don't need to have like omnipresent national level like game to really like, I don't know, like have a very impressive like breadth of ball knowledge.
That is really true. You're right, because those are the types of pundits that I really like too. Right? Are like, and even those are the types of like posters I like. Like I'll take a sicko Kings 4,000 follower, you know, retweeting 35 De'Aaron Fox like pick and roll clips over sort of like a meek national pundit. I have one take that I was going to bring up, but now this perfectly is this is like you know how, or maybe you do or do not know this, that there was a rumor going on, or not a rumor, there was in Silicon Valley circles, that like when you would have an interview with Peter Thiel, he would ask you what your like craziest belief is, like what belief do you think you're the most wrong about, or whatever, or I'm sorry, what most people disagree with you about, which is so funny because back then it was probably like we interpret, or through the liberal prism was probably interpreting it as like there shouldn't be cops, but like actually what Peter Thiel was hoping you would say was like you should be able to impregnate the moon.
Yeah, we should have a king again.
Yeah, exactly. We should have a king, and it should be me. But no, here's one. The real problem with the NBA is that with all this digital forward, the way we watch TV is now increasingly digital. The fidelity and speed at which you can move from channel to channel has completely eroded. You used to be able to click like, you're on fucking Cox or you're on, old school cable. You press last channel, 1 second later, you're on the last.
The best.
Channel. Bam. You're right back there. Now, these days, thanks to, whatever, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say witch doctors. No, but I'm just kidding. My point is it takes fucking way too long to switch channels. And I'm just like, if we're in a battle for our attention, I'm switching from League Pass to League Pass, and it takes like, I'm realistically talking about 75% of a second, but that's too long for me.
Dude, I watch League Pass on my PS4, which means that I press the NBA, I press the X button to open up the NBA app, and then I go into my kitchen, I fill the tea kettle with water, I turn it on, I unload the tea from the basket, put dry tea in there, wait for the water to heat up, pour the water over the tea, I go back, the circle is still spinning, and then it loads, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, I would like to watch the Kings and the Hawks. Then I press the X button on play. I go back. I wait 3 minutes till the tea is steeped. The flavors are nice. Then I take it out. I get the drops out of the basket. I sit down, and then I wait 7 more minutes, and then it allows me to switch over to the Kings broadcast so I can hear Mark Jones. And at that point, the first quarter is over. It's so ass.
Dude, that is really funny. I can't even look like the graphics are probably bad.
Well, and the thing that annoys me too is I would have the game on my phone as this was happening, so I wouldn't miss anything. Mm-hmm. But I think I don't know if they're cracking down on password sharing or just if the Defector accounts do too much password sharing. So if I try to do 2 at once, not only am I going to ruin it for myself, like I'm ruining it for my 3, Giddy, and other people.
Right. You're setting.
So instead, I have to sit there in monastic silence as like the circle spins really slowly. So I agree with you, although this might be a personal problem, is my point.
Cannot believe that you watch basketball on your PS4. That is so...
The last, we want to upgrade, obviously, but the thing that's holding us back is that at some point in the last 7 years, someone logged into their premium Hulu account on our PlayStation, and unlike every other app, like ESPN makes me log in like every time I open it. The Hulu, like they stopped updating their PS4 app for what I think are obvious reasons. So we are permanently logged into this like great. We have it's no commercials. It's fucking great.
Okay,
and I've asked everyone around me and like who was at our house in San Francisco, and no one has copped to logging in. So I'm like, okay, upgrading to the PS5 would be great, but we would lose Hulu. So
you could. Okay, this is really okay. Yeah. All right. So maybe.
Sorry to derail your good take with me being a dumbass, but like.
I mean, I think we're approaching the same idea, which is the. No, I mean, I will say, dude, these smart TVs obviously better than a PS4, but they're not fast enough. It's like the fidelity, the click fidelity is trash. And this is going to be like...
Click fidelity is trash. Is this the TV we were watching Kobe Bryant highlights on last time I was at your house?
That's a good-ass TV, but I'm telling you, the click fidelity, it's like 75 inches, but the CF is fucking garbage.
Dude, the CF is trash.
All right.
Dude. Yeah, okay. Maybe... Yeah, if your Hulu handle is Pink Camilla and you logged into and you were at my house between 2015 and 2019 in the sunset, send me a DM so I can get your password so that I can upgrade to the PS5. And then, yeah.
You can give them the PS4 so they can play video games from the early Obama years.
If you want a machine that like sounds like your neighbor using a lawnmower and becomes like 157 degrees if you leave it on for more than 2 seconds or try to use the internet. Like, dude, it's like, imagine like the world's worst space heater. You can have this.
I can't believe this. That's so funny.
Elden Ring works on it. It does, like I said, it does make the fan go
played
like
in
1,000
slow
RPM.
This is so funny. All right. Well, another thing that maybe has aged slower than it would like, how about this, is Jimmy Butler's kind of trade saga. So I want to start at the end because there's some kind of funny stuff. What do you think about this agent mea culpa that people are demanding, which is that just so for those who don't know, Jimmy Butler's agent, whose name is Bernie Lee, attacked Shams a few weeks ago when Shams published that there were trade rumors, and then 2 weeks later, believe it or not, the trade rumors came back, or Jimmy did demand a trade, and like it was just sort of like, of course you were wrong, why, and it's not that. Of course, Bernie Lee is going to deny trade rumors. Like that's that's just him doing his job. But the sort of personal attack and kind of like hilarious like boomer insults that he threw at Shams, where I think was the most embarrassing. He accused Shams of using ChatGPT, which like doesn't make any sense. This is not whatever. It's let's just say a far less nuanced and dialed in critique than what the great Shamsi Awards that Defector does. But so yeah, what do you think about that?
ChatGPT is not capable of creating some of the beautiful phrases that Shams uses, like unique news. Like they would never. LLM could never come up with.
No,
that.
It wouldn't understand it. It would like break the
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, what did you think?
That was so funny to me because Shams is doing Bernie Lee's job for him.
Right.
And whenever you see any, like, as the New York Mag Reeves Weidman profile of Shams made clear, like the way his job works is that like agents and teams use him as like a semi-official mouthpiece. Like the thing about this that was so strange is you would think that Bernie Lee would be the source for something like this.
Right. You know? Right. You would, that's like, I'm like, you leaked the damn thing. Like that's so I did a little bit of digging about Bernie Lee because Bernie Lee has a funny client list.
You were the one who told me how funny his client list is.
Yeah. I have it pulled up. Yeah, it's Jimmy Butler.
It's two other guys.
Yeah, it's basically Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, and Chris Dunn are his folks. And so I was kind of like, what's this guy's deal? Like, and then I learned a bunch of stuff. Another add to which makes him a little bit more mercurial is he also is who's the great Timberwolves beat reporter John Krasinski reported this, that he was also basically the consigliere on the Embiid Supermax deal. So he's got his kind of his fingers everywhere, or not everywhere, but in some interesting places. I was licking my chops hoping to find some kind of like deep state thing, like that he's like Adam Silver's college roommate or something, but it's not that. His story actually just seems kind of like a nice, interesting, like he played high school basketball, he actually went to go play college basketball at a college like right an hour outside of Sacramento. So I was like, I wonder if you know about this.
Well, now I've totally changed. It depends which direction, but I feel like I've totally changed my opinion on him.
Yeah,
unless it was in like Vallejo or something.
Hold on, let me find this. Here, give me mine.
Well, while you're doing that, the thing I will say is like both in the way that Bernie Lee has treated this and the way that like the Heat have publicly treated this, like doing statements where they spell their franchise name in all caps and like say basically like, we're not trading him, like don't believe rumors. It's like both of these people are displaying, or both these organizations are displaying like a really baffling misunderstanding of like how business in the NBA works and how NBA news works. Like everyone involved should understand that Shams is like this semi-official mouthpiece for like teams and agents to do business in public, and that like everything he's reporting is like because someone wants to get something done. Like they have to understand that he is not like maverickly breaking news out here that like doesn't like help either party. And so for the Heat to suspend Butler over a trade demand is so crazy too, because it's like maybe player empowerment is dead, but like you can't like start a fight with the players union because a guy like mouthed off in a press conference and Shams is doing some tweets about trading him. Like you have to understand that like that's not how business works. And for Bernie, it's like if you weren't the source, like you're kind of not doing your job here.
Right. You're telling on yourself basically that you've got loose lips somewhere in your inner circle. Yeah, I think I'll get to we'll talk about the kind of funny Bernie anecdotes later, because I think you're touching on the heart of this, which is it does seem like there was a status quo and a sort of meta on how to navigate a trade demand or a unhappy superstar over the last 10 to 12 years. And whether now it's good or made everybody happy, whatever, but like there were some beats to it, right? You'd like leak it to Shams, and to get this kind of plausible deniability, you'd leak it to Woj, whatever. Now, maybe, or I think in part because of the second apron, in part because of fatigue from organizations on letting players kind of like get whatever they want, and maybe in part because Woj leaving Shams a possible power hole, power vacuum.
Ayo.
The meta is sort of confusing now, and I was thinking about this Jimmy thing. I went back and like there's quietly, if you look at Zach LaVine, trade demand fizzled out. Clay had some issues with the organization. He didn't ultimately get what he wanted. Donovan Mitchell's rumblings. He didn't get what he wanted and ended up resigning. Obviously, great call for him, but whatever. And then Paul George even kind of like wanted out but didn't get it, and then eventually had to sign in free agency. And now Jimmy, and the player empowerment. I believe that there was a little bit of a there's too much player kind of like getting whatever they wanted in these certain situations. It does seem like that overcorrection is being changed, and that like especially with this Jimmy, I think this is probably an overstep. Like I don't know if you need to suspend the guy for demanding a trade, and like getting in between him and his check is a bummer, but clearly they're less willing to kind of be like, yeah, you get whatever you want. You're the face of this franchise.
Yeah, I think the CBA and like you said, like the punitivity, if that's a word, of the second apron is like sort of the way to start here, like from a structural angle, just because like it is more basically because of this, and the Jimmy contract kind of makes this clear, is that like having a bad contract on your books is way more debilitating to your ability to like build as an organization, to like sign free agents or whatever. And like, interestingly, I think there are fewer bad contracts in the league now than there were like 5 or 7 years ago. But like the cost of having one of those on your books is like so debilitating. So I think basically that makes the trade market for guys who are 35, which, as we established in the first 10 minutes of this episode, is like essentially made out of
geriatric,
dust.
Dead.
Yeah. So I think that cools the market. But then like from the media angle, I think the way to start with this is the Anthony Davis trade demand, because that was one of the first like new big Rich Paul clients trying to dictate where he would go with multiple years left on his contract. And like the trade demand used to be a sort of like, okay, like a Carmelo style, like I'm going to be a free agent. My leverage is that I can go sign somewhere else. And so like both parties are like motivated to get a trade done. But with AD, it's like, I have 3 years left on my deal. No, I don't want to go to the Celtics. Like, you have to trade me to the Lakers.
Yeah.
And like that is sort of a bad look. It's like you're really holding a team hostage with it. And like your leverage is that you will just not show up and do your job, which is like,
and like cause bad vibes essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's like, you'll just ruin the, short and medium term futures because you just don't want to be there. And so Jimmy is an interesting case because he is sort of expiring, but then he has this like $52 million player option. And so he's talking about like, oh, you know, my joy of basketball is getting a little lost. And like, I find him corny and like sort of annoying in almost all contexts. But again, like, I want players to get their money, but it is sort of like, it makes me roll my eyes to have him say all that when it's like, you could get my dream job, which is get, you know, an 8-figure check to sit there in Miami. Like, pretty fucking good.
Yeah, that you're right about the Rich Paul thing, because that also speaks to the Rich Paul Anthony Davis one, because that also spoke to, I think, what was allowing the player empowerment to get to where it was that if you were pissing off Rich Paul, it wasn't just he had the ability, like, it wasn't just Anthony Davis who could make a stink. Rich Paul could get LeBron James to make a stink, or to get to, you know, oh yeah, you want next time my good free agent is choosing between you and some other team, like, I'm telling him fuck off. So it almost was like agent empowerment, kind of. But like,
that's a good way to think about it. Well, also, like, look at the case of Fox right now, where like Fox has not demanded a trade, and everything I've heard from people who like know him are like, he actually is not going to, like, this is not a soft trade demand. But like, what you've seen is basically these strategic leaks to, in this case, Slater and Amick over at The Athletic, where it's like Rich Paul is meeting with Monty McNair.
right.
And it's basically, this is a way to publicly apply pressure.
Right.
And this is Fox and his agent essentially trying to get the Cam Johnson trade over the finish line.
Right.
But like the way that threat, like the thing that gives that threat teeth is basically like, this is also the first rhetorical step in a trade demand in 3 years. Like, you could see the way that the dialogue around Fox changed after the story, because it's not like people are seeing that and they're saying, oh, he's actually disgruntled. Like, people in the media see that and they understand that this is like setting the table. This is like creating this rhetorical framework to then be like, you know, Fox and his agent have met with the Kings. They really have not traded for a wing player. Like, it's like you can get your client's like side of the story out there without really having to explicitly say it.
Yeah, which I think shifts. One of the things I wanted to ask you about was this, like, what is the new meta? And I think you're right. I think this sort of slow playing, taking some ground or giving some ground. Like, Fox isn't demanding a trade. He's not trying to blow it up. He understands that there's like, he lives in a society and like that he can't just be like, I want to be on whatever. But he can kind of like tactfully apply pressure. Something I was thinking about the second apron as it relates to trades is there an argument to the fact that because the second apron, you know, renders these trades really difficult, like it's really hard, just even like logistically to trade.
Yeah, the mechanics are crazy.
It makes what used to be a kind of gray area conversation about like, well, if you really wanted to get it done, we could get the Jimmy Butler thing done, to now much less of a gray area. Like, Pat Riley can go to Jimmy and be like, dude, we're not trading you for Moses Moody. Like, we're not doing it. That's not, you know, like, that's a bad fucking deal. We're not going to do it. And that shuts the door on these conversations, because to your point, like, the only fangs are in the potentiality of it all. Like,
yes.
Once anything happens, it's over. It's like Jimmy's only power is to be a fucking pain in the ass, which, you know, from maybe a shrewd move from Pat Riley was to just be like, all right, well then fuck you. We'll get into a players union battle with you. Like, you think I give a fuck? Like which I don't think is like the ethical, you know, I think that's fucked up, whatever. Again, like, I don't think Jimmy should get, like, he should keep getting his game checks if he can play and help the team, whatever. But it is an interesting, in this sort of like proxy war, it's an interesting tactic by Riley.
Well, and the last person to essentially sit out and lose their game checks was another Bernie Lee client, Ben Simmons. Like, this reminds me of that kind of situation.
Yeah.
And I do wonder, like, because I think neither of us think the trade market for Jimmy is going to be super hot, right?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And well, keep going. Yeah, because I have one other thought too about that.
Well, I think, like, the trade market is not going to be super, super hot. So, like, there is a version, like, if the Heat are just getting lowball offers, like, And it's funny that both of our teams, who absolutely I don't think should trade for him, are like being mentioned in these conversations. Like if the best offer is like Moses and like a second round pick or like and some salary filler, because everyone will be like, he's 35 and you know, there's the new CBA. Like I wonder if we actually do get this big showdown where he next year takes the player option, but then all but says, I'm not going to play, or shows up and just like fucks around. Like if we really do get this like knockdown, drag out fight, I don't think we will. I don't think. But if anyone would do it, I guess my point is that Pat Riley would do it.
And Jimmy would do it. Like they're the two like that they could totally come to a head. And whereas like the Ben Simmons one was an example of like the final. Ben Simmons to me felt like a more kind of like passive aggressive battle, like a battle of just sort of like how much are we gonna kind of not say to each other. Jimmy and Pat Riley would be like it's almost more likely they would like sue each other.
Yeah.
than anything else. The one thing I was going to say about Jimmy, which I was because I was thinking about like Jimmy, you know, he's 35. Like it's like how full of shit is he to think he deserves a max deal or whatever? But Paul George, who is 6 months younger than him, got a max deal, and I looked that up, and because I was like, how old's Paul George? Because he's the last guy, and you know, like if Paul George is like if Paul George, like, why wouldn't Jimmy be like, well, this fucking guy got about, I'm better than Paul George.
We're in the same cohort.
Yeah. So it's tricky. I mean,
another thing about this that's like sort of a larger order thing I was thinking about is like Jimmy's game is so anachronistic. Like he's a physically dependent player who's like not that big. Like he's not a huge, he's not LeBron sized. Like if you ever watch him guard LeBron, it's like, oh, this guy's like, he presents as the same size, but he's like significantly smaller. He can't shoot, but yet is like sort of bizarrely effective, especially in the playoffs. Like I think every team sort of realizes like he is most effective when he is doing best player stuff. If he's sort of like, this is like the Kuminga problem, but like a guy
Times
who's
10,
made the finals. Where it's like him in a complementary role doesn't really help you because it's like, with the way defenses are guarding the 3-point line now, if you have Butler out there and he's not involved in every action, like you're playing 4-on-5 offense. Like it's kind of fucky. And so like in basketball terms, it is interesting how little margin there is basically for guys who can't shoot, who aren't like the best player on their team.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen that sort of like become more harshly punished as the years go on. But like, I guess he is another test case of like how fast the league has changed in the past few years.
No, it's true. And just, you're right. Like the shrinking of the margin for error, I think is the key. Like I was thinking about this with the Warriors where, you know, Draymond and Curry still do have this like amazing ability to kind of manufacture buckets, but Draymond being so limited offensively, other than the things he does really, really well, it has this cumulative effect where it's like, God, okay, like we can't play him and Kuminga at the same time because then we don't have shooting. We can't play him and Wiggins at the same time. We can't play TJD and him at the same. It's like it is, you know. And again, like I think some of this is natural. Like that's stars age and like come and go, whatever. I'm not even. This is necessarily a knock on Draymond, but you need to be in such a highly specific environment to thrive as a superstar. I mean, like, how different is Jimmy in that DeMar DeRozan role than DeMar? Like, I think probably better, but like,
that's a really interesting case because since the Kings fired Mike Brown, they've won 4 in a row now.
DeMar, Ray Allen, DeRozan.
Well, that's the thing is like Christie has made this extremely simple adjustment that like he's basically bowing to the math gods. He has Celticsified the Kings where he's like, okay, DeMar and Domas, instead of like standing at the elbow and taking 18 footers, you're just going to stand in the corner and take 23 footers.
Right.
And I think it was the Grizzlies game. DeMar went 4 for 7 from 3. And he had not made 4 or attempted 7 threes since he was in Toronto 2 teams ago. And he was like, had the ball in his hands a lot. And like
crazy. The
fact that it's worked is like sort of a bummer. It's like, you know, DeMar was this like interesting anachronism, but like now it's like the most effective thing for him to do is pretend to be Harrison Barnes, and like that is sort of a bummer, but like it makes brutal sense. And this is basically like this long-term market correction of everyone realizing that the number 3 is greater than the number 2.
Yeah. It's I don't think we'll get to have the full kind of Evan Mobley conversation today, but I do want to say that I think he's important in this conversation as the, because you tell the story of the NBA of offensive innovation followed by defensive innovation followed by offensive, and all that's really fun. Like that's a fucking awesome thing to dig your teeth into. I watched Mobley contest a shot at the rim, the ball get kicked out, and then contest a shot at the 3 in a way that just pretty much looked effortless. Like he just was like there at the rim, and then he was there at 3. And if you the way you are leaving yourself open, if you are a team that is kind of wants these sort of like malleable, not bucket gettery type of people, is that when that corner 3 is snuffed out, there's no second, like you've got Dorian Finney-Smith trying to go tween step back. Like you are not getting a bucket.
OD is not shooting 54 hang pulls from tray ball, as it were.
No, he is not. And so I could foresee the next innovation being if teams can stock their back line with these freaks who can sniff out these corner 3s and basically be corner 3 stoppers and rim protector stoppers. That could completely neuter an offense.
Dude, the Thompson twins-ification of the NBA is going to be... Those guys are so fun.
Yeah, which would be fun, would be dynamic and kind of like exciting, like a fun foil to all of that.
They sort of remind me of how Giannis was talked about when he first came in, where there was this theory of like, okay, once he learns to shoot, like it's over.
Yeah.
And it became over without him ever learning to shoot. Yeah. And I guess this is sort of the good upside of like defense's sort of strategic victory over offense in the grander scheme, is that like you get these Evan Mobley types, you get these Thompson twin types just like out there destroying. And I think it's fun to watch. Like the Magic's whole thing where every 2 weeks a guy dies on the court, but then they keep winning because Mosley only plays guys who are like, will get out there and like fight and like have knives in their pockets. Like that's like it's fun to watch, honestly.
No, I agree. And it's like again, I don't even buy the homogenous, like all I want is for like dynamic, athletic, insane things to happen. I don't care where it happens on the court. I don't care if it's at the 3-point line. I don't care if it's a 2-point line. I just want people doing stuff that I could only dream of doing.
You have this thing about defensive unicorns in the run of show, and the way I want to get to this is like, so on League Pass and during the halftime shows when there's like commercials, a lot of times they'll do the like top 10 plays of the previous day.
Uh-huh.
And something I've noticed is that it's interesting that like the highlights they show are pretty different from the highlights that like basketball posters show as like, look at this insane sequence from Mobley where it's like block into a corner 3. It's more just like, here's an obvious fast break dunk. Like here's a big, cool display of athleticism.
Right.
And while they are not highlighting like the interesting sort of Thompson twin-esque like destroyery skill, the point they're making, I basically agree with, which is like what you said. Like it's cool to see athletic guys do crazy shit.
Yeah, I think that's right. And the larger take I was talking about, because we were I was kind of thinking about Evan Mobley and the unicorn, kind of like the promise of the unicorns, basically. And so I was looking back at kind of this old, because you really don't hear about unicorns, not so much anymore.
Not so much these days. Yeah.
I sent this to you. A really one media institution that is still talking about unicorns is the great. You wrote for this great place. You might still freelance there sometimes.
That's right, Vice Sports.
Yeah. I'm talking Deadspin. Deadspin just had a great article this month. I highly check. You guys should check it out. It's great. Independent journalism. They're always, something I love about Deadspin is they tell it like it is. No, they don't pull punches there.
Respect. Yeah, no comment. But I will. The larger, like, was the original unicorn Kristaps Porzingis, and the thesis was basically like anyone who can protect the rim and space the floor like gets this designation.
So basically, I didn't remember this, but then in doing a little bit of reading, Kevin Durant called Kristaps Porzingis a unicorn in like a scrum one time, and it was like, okay, that's a unicorn, and which is kind of perfect because KD himself is a unicorn.
Yeah.
Fits that thing, but didn't have the whatever. And then it pretty much just became, if you can shoot threes and defend the three, you get a unicorn, and it like you get at least like lowercase u unicorn, and then if you have like spindly fucked up arms, like you're a fucking hyper unicorn.
Yeah, if you look all weird. This is basically in reaction to like the kind of immediate post Roy Hibbert era where like the idea of a big was someone who just like stood there essentially.
Right. Yeah. Eric Dampier, and then I think the promise of the unicorn faded a little bit in part because everybody who was a unicorn either got jacked or injured.
That's true.
Embiid and Jokic went jacked / tubby, and
opposite,
then KP and Anthony Davis got injured, and then whatever, it just sort of also honestly, and this is a whole larger conversation, but what was so funny about the Embiid is the most interesting one to me because he is such an insanely physically gifted and just proportioned person. He is the definition of a unicorn.
Yeah.
But actually the way he scores is like hilariously normal. It's and he
16 footers.
Yeah, it's like it's the same shot that fucking Brandon Bass takes. And whatever. He's like an extremely effective, amazing offensive player, but he does not
He's not breaking the bounds of basketball in the way that like Jokic or Wemby is.
No, he's breaking the bounds of basketball in how consistently he can hit a 16-footer, which is impressive and whatever, but not unicorny.
It's closer to Michael Jordan than it is Kristaps Porzingis.
Completely.
It is the interesting thing about unicorn as a term is like how once KD I guess inaugurated it, like how much of the like ringer ass basketball media like used it and applied it and like thought about everything through the framework when really it's like a sort of imprecise, I think, way to talk about like positionless basketball and about like the thing that turned into 5-out spacing is like now everyone kind of has to be a unicorn. Like,
right.
It was like the first wave,
No, totally. It was this like almost like the first kind of like a truly mimetic basketball story, like that it became, because it's like fucking Channing Frye shot threes and could defend the rim, like and had long fucked up spindly arms, but it just didn't happen to come around at that time, and I think KP was the perfect unicorn promise, like because he was on the Knicks, because he had this weird game,
He's had such a weird career. Like I was watching him against the Thunder yesterday and having this thought where like he was like a superstar with the Knicks, then had all the injuries, and it sort of reminds me of like the White Dante career arc, where basically like he was this good level player, then went through some teams that misused him, and then now has like found this perfect role. And it's strange to think about how good he is for the Celtics, and like when he's healthy, just like how productive and unsolvable he is. But then like the fact that like the Mavs couldn't use him and the Wizards couldn't really use him to win. And I don't really know what to make of it other than like, damn, that's weird.
Yeah, it is true. It's sort of strange that, and to me, the most interesting kind of L in this whole thing was the Mavs zone, because it's like he would just be if you like squint, you can look at a way that he like completely makes the Mavs unguardable. Like I don't totally really get how it didn't work. And yet you would watch it and it would be like Luka pounding the rock and then KP in the corner, like sad or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, this concept that I was thinking about is like if there is a new unicorn, because I think what the promise of a unicorn was someone who like would break basketball in a compelling way.
Yeah.
The people who are breaking basketball is basically what I was saying about Mobley, which is the kind of defensive unicorn, like the Wemby, Mobley, Dyson Daniels, Thompson twins, kind of like AD 2.0, like Anthony Davis 2.0, like what is now anybody can shoot threes, everybody's skilled, it's skill ball, we're in this universe, but what is the game breaker element of this is their like lightness of foot basically, and like leaping ability and kind of what they're required to be, and what actually, like, if there's the way you would describe Unicorn 2.0 from Unicorn 1.0 is like Embiid and Jokic, who are the perfect Unicorn 1.0s, are basically not Unicorn 2.0s. They are plotting bad defenders in space, and whereas like we are seeing a kind of coalescence of like, yeah, if you can be this like manic big man defender, that might be the new thing that breaks your team. That's like the superstar turn, the new Splash Brothers, the new kind of like, holy shit, they're playing basketball in a totally new way.
I think that's totally right. And like, if you look at like Cooper Flagg is like the perfect example of this, where like he's going to go number 1 next year. And like his offensive game is like kind of interesting. But the thing that makes him good is that he can like, as a big man, switch onto all these positions, like make defensive plays at like a pretty crazy level. And I think like this is much like Unicorn 1.0. The thing that this is all solving for is like the changing of the big man role, where it's like on offense, it is, you basically cannot have anyone who like spends any time standing inside of the 3-point arc. And then like, okay, those types of players tend not to be guys who can block shots and grab a bunch of rebounds. So it's like, if you can sort of accommodate for a player's like, if they're like basically like a Thompson twin is like the perfect way to think about this. It's like Amen Thompson can guard centers, but also like catch oops. And I guess he can't shoot, but he can do stuff on offense kind of. And it's like people who can replicate big man productivity without any of the downsides, I guess. Yeah.
And it used to be, even like in a micro evolution of this, was like, if a big man if you can switch a 1-5 pick and roll with a big man and not be barbecue chicken, like you're all defense basically. But now the role is getting harder and harder. Like now you don't just need to be able to do that. You need to also be able to like succeed in kind of like a weird matchup zone where you're running end to end. Like they really are forced to do these Herculean like defensive assignments, which is, I think, why somebody like Draymond has been able to like continue to be a savant defensively, because like he is able to basically do everything except fucking grab a rebound when we need a. It's like tiny out there.
The league NBA defense has almost remade itself in Draymond's image, kind of. Like the things that matter now is like connectivity and like knowing where the next pass is going to go and sort of being ahead of it, which is like something that Draymond was always so good at. Like, especially when he was still athletic, he would just like show up out of nowhere and totally blow a play up. And the other thing is like defensive playmaking, like being aggressive, trying to get steals, like really trying to not like the Tibbs revolution, which was like maybe two defensive metas ago, was like very passive, very much like we're going to guard one pass away, but then like totally abandon 2 passes away to like stand at the rim and like do Brook Lopez stuff. Whereas now it's like the total inversion of that. It's just like pressure all the time, pressure, like make them run, make them throw 12 straight perfect, quick passes to beat you. Like, and the more actions they have to do, the more ways that can go wrong, especially if you're playing under pressure, which like I think is fun to watch. Like I really do like that style of defense.
Yeah, same. No, it's and I mean it's horrible to be on the other side of it. Like when you are watching, like when we got throttled by the Cavs, the Warriors got throttled by the Cavs, when you run into like OKC when they're really dialed in, it's just like, God damn it, dude. Like we just start running, we like can't even get into our sets. It's so but that's good.
That was the OKC thing from yesterday when they beat the Celtics, is like the Celtics just could not do anything in the second half.
Right.
And I think there's like the presumptive Celtics Thunder finals would be, I think, a like high point for sort of defense mattering, because like Shea is great, Tatum's great, like the Celtics shoot a million threes, the Thunder offense is really fun, but like what makes those teams special is their defense. And so I think we'd get a lot of like 89, 86 games that everyone in the media would be like, actually that was really good, like that was a really fun close game. And in that way, the throwbacks, hoops, revanchist, ball don't stop wing is going to get what they wanted, but be so mad about it.
I'm so happy you brought up ball don't stop, actually, because this is a perfect way to end. Well, this is an audio podcast, but hey, ball don't stop. My friend Dave got a ball don't stop merch for Secret Santa.
Ooh.
Order didn't come, and you're ignoring all the emails. Okay?
Oh shit.
Mr. fucking ball don't stop. Answer my friend Dave's emails. We're trying to get the sweatshirt that says like you're a casual or something. It's not coming. Like, come on, dude. If you believe you're a small business owner, you believe in the capitalist kind of like globalist Trump mindset, then fucking be about it and send Dave his sweater.
The ball might not stop, but neither can the USPS parcels. So get your fucking shit together, man.
Exactly. Okay. That's it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for joining us.
If you actually, if you got this long, you fucking know. Just give us a review. Tell your best friends
about it. Smash that
motherfucking
subscribe button.
Yeah, exactly.
You know the vibes.
Exactly.